So the Sony A95L has some issues. Now, rather than spoon feed you the general narrative of it being the king of all televisions on Earth, I will tell you what these issues are. Smack a like on this video for just getting to the point and being brutally honest. The number one issue with it is obviously motion. I've been talking about and covering Sony's extensive, horrific motion for years now. And this is no different. Sony struggles immensely when you have horizontal panning shots, slow scenes that just go by trees or go by fences. That's really where Sony will look the worst. Despite paying the premium for the top-of-the-line processing, Sony is anything but top-of-the-line when we deal with slower frame rates. And especially if you're using any kind of motion processing, it looks, again, just as bad as if you don't have it on. And I'm telling you right now, people think that turning it off is a solution, to which I would just say, watch my video showing that movie X-Men Days of Future Past, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about at lower frame rates. But then that begs the question, okay, but maybe I don't care about motion. Okay, well, price is still a factor, and that remains one of the biggest problems. It's outlandishly expensive. Samsung makes these panels, right? So it's not like this is some cutting edge technology that's just so forgotten and ancient from the land of freaking Atlantis and we just can't get our hands on this stuff, so it needs to be expensive. It's just overpriced. And Sony, unfortunately, offers the least out of all of the OLED manufacturers when we talk about feature set. And I think that's something to mention because the price just doesn't make sense. A 55-inch will run you $3,000. That's literally like 75-inch territory or a really solid 65-inch television. But it should never be the price of a 55-inch TV. And it is for Sony. And this is a problem that everybody just kind of accepts and says, oh, well, Sony's the best, you get what you pay for, processing. But again, as I mentioned at the opening of this video, Sony has the most horrific motion issues almost out of every brand, and definitely the worst motion issues out of all of the big established brands like LG or Samsung, and of course Sony themselves. It is something, it just perplexes me year after year, and it is something worth talking about. Now, the other issue is that for the extensive price that they are asking, it doesn't have 144 Hz or G-Sync. So for computer gamers looking for the next cutting-edge experience, it just doesn't exist on the Sony A95L, and instead, you are locked to 120 Hz. This is something that becomes a problem considering that something like the Samsung S90C is literally thousands cheaper in some cases, and it genuinely has all of those features that you could hope for. I think that's something that, again, Sony needs to work on, but again, that only happens if we give them the constructive criticism so that they may improve, which is what this video is all about today. Now, the next thing is the speakers. The speakers are pretty much tinny. They sound like an entry-level to mid-range type deal, and that shouldn't be happening for the most premium price that you'd ever pay for any product that's in the television world, at least at the consumer level. I mean, again, 55 inches running $3,000, that's ridiculous. And your speakers sound really kind of like, I don't know, the best thing I could say is maybe it sounds like something TCL or Hisense would have done, but not even TCL and Hisense are hitting at that level where it's like that tinny. So that's kind of sad considering like something like, for example, the TCL QM8 would rock the pants out of the Sony A95L as far as audio. And that's sad. It shouldn't happen that way, but it does. Now, nobody's going to tell you that because I guess there's no incentive on YouTube outside of spoon-feeding you a narrative that they collectively agree on, but I don't do that. So I want products to improve, and I'm going to give that criticism where it's due and where it's just. The other thing I noticed in my time reviewing it and calibrating was that it just has really weak colors, like the color purple, for example, generally very, very weak. And I think, again, when you're rocking quantum dots, you want the most cutting-edge picture, and it doesn't always deliver that. So you'll go in with some expectations that it's going to look way better than everything out there, and that's just not always what happens. And in fact, the Sonys are running a little bit too cool in their color temperature. Now, retail establishments have been doing this for years by, again, just putting it in the coolest color temperature to make the colors appear more vibrant. But Sony kind of figured out that if they set their TVs this way and kind of make it even after calibration this way, they will appear more vibrant. But that's only on the surface level, because once you do an actual comparison, you'll start to see where it quickly falls apart comparatively to something that has been maxed out. Now, I say maxed out in the sense of, again, optimizing for the features that you paid for and not just trying to do whatever nonsense they want you to. But again, it is what it is. I can safely say that while the Sony A95L is a good TV, it does have issues. So this video isn't to bash Sony or to attack them, but to highlight those issues so that maybe we might get lucky on the next generation of Sony products and that we might actually see these issues fixed. Now, I won't hold my breath, but I do remain hopeful that change is possible, because I truly believe that with enough people voicing their opinions about something that is going wrong in the AV industry, it will get fixed with time. But that being said, I want to know what you guys think. Do you think we should ever talk about Sony issues, or should we just kind of let them be Sony and just kind of accept that they're just the way that they are? I think that conversation is healthy. That's my stance on it. But again, let me know yours in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching the #1 brand in honesty. And until the next video, I'll see you guys later.